I'm Summer Huntington of Steel Mace Vinyasa and Shala, and today I'll be breaking down single-handed mills. So recently I've recommitted to my mill practice, and my goal is actually to do 100 mills in the forward direction, 100 mills in the backward direction with both my right and my left hand. Now this is inspired by the Wildman Athletica head coach criteria, and I just did my first test last week and I was able to get about 16 minutes and 54 seconds on my first try. Now there's a little bit of strategy when you're going into doing a time test like this. I don't recommend it if you're brand new to mills. Make sure you work up to it. Now when you're first learning to do a single-handed mill, you'll want to start with what's called a staccato style mill. So here's my 10-pound club in order position. My elbows pinned to my rib, my shoulders up, down, and back. I'll start with the inside circle. So I rotate my body, I cast with a straight elbow, swing and catch the club in that 90-degree angle. Notice I've kind of shifted my weight to one side. So you'll want to first start with staccato style, breaking up the movement into its components and its parts. So I really love the inside circle for this. This is one of Mark Wildman's first exercises he teaches at our training retreats and at seminars. And he really reinforces, and I as well, the importance of swinging clubs from an aspect of rotation. So notice, I'm rotating and swiveling my hips, my knees, my trunk, and my arm is a ball and socket joint. And so I'm allowing the club to swing away from my body, which creates traction. And then there's torque, and then there's triplanar movement. You can switch sides. Things to look for when you're working your inside circle. You want to see that your grip is confirmed, so you don't have any kind of hook fingers coming up or any cheater thumbs coming up here. You want to have a neutral wrist, and you want your shoulder to not be in a protracted position, but you actually want to elevate and then depress the shoulder so that it seats in a scapular neutral position, scap neutral. Rotate the body, cast, swing, catch, rotate. During the cast, the wrist goes into what's called inversion. So watch, inverted wrist, really great for strengthening the muscles in the wrist. With our domesticated lives, we don't do a whole lot of things in our natural life these days, unless you're, working a labor job or you're working construction or a builder. We don't get a lot of load on the wrists in inversion, except when we're working with leverage tools. So one of the key benefits of working with these leverage tools is being able to strengthen the wrist, strengthen the entire kinetic chain of the arm, and doing that with speed and with high load. All right, so that's our inside circle. Next up, we want to clear and make sure that we have a proper shoulder cast. So a shoulder cast from order position looks like this from the front. Inhale, back position, exhale, pull the club into order position. From the side, inhale, back position, exhale, order. So most people, when they're training this, it can feel really foreign. You'll get a lot of elbow flare with newbies, people that are just starting with clubs. So really inspire that elbow to track in the whole time. Sometimes I like to push my hand against here. There's different theories. Some theories we drop the thumb all the way to the t-shirt. I think that's a little bit more advanced. When we're building absolute strength, it's important that we have that grip confirmation. And notice I'm never turning off my shoulder when I'm coming into that cast position, when I'm first building that absolute strength. I'll show you the reason why we would drop the thumb to the t-shirt later on. That's just a bit more dynamic. So I find my starting position, my landmark, order, come into back position, pull back into order. Elbows tracking in the whole time. We want to see that the head of the club stays tracking in line with the shoulder and the elbow. Don't want any elbow flare. Once you have cleared a shoulder cast, now we can move into what's called a shield cast. Feel free to choke up, and sometimes it's nice to take a knee here, back position, open out, side flag, back position, close the door, order. Choke down, back position, open out, external rotation, back position. So the reason I like this particular version of a shield cast, it's very slow and controlled, and it allows you to move through planes. So I'm going in that frontal plane and sagittal plane and transitioning between the two. Switch sides. Really helpful for people that have never done any loaded throwing patterns. We want to make sure that we can pass between the planes and that the shoulders are clear and have that mobility. There's no clunks or calcium deposits or thickened fascia that prevent that range of motion. Now we can put it all together. Back position, travel through the plane, back to order, inside circle, order. Back position, little swivel. So here, in this little moment of swivel, here, you'll notice there's this little tail whip factor. Looks like this. Tail whip, tail whip, tail whip. That is particularly challenging for new athletes because in this moment, there's a little bit of eccentric action happening. So concentric, eccentric. The swinging phase, we get to let go for a moment and then re-engage. So in this moment, if I was to hold my bicep contracted the whole time and grind it out, it would look like this. When I allow for eccentric action, meaning I contract and then I release, have a moment of that eccentric, elastic moment in my muscles and my fascia, I can start to double my power, double my speed, potentially quadruple my power. So if you are wanting to test your single-handed mills, make sure that you have a good program to work from where you're strengthening the shoulders in all directions. You're really working on elbow lock. You're capturing that mace with elbow glued to rib, and you're finding that swivel and that rotation and yaw. Keep an eye out for some upcoming Heavy Clubs programs I'll be putting out, and I'm also teaching my first 2-day seminar coming out in Seattle this October. You can find all the information on the workshops tab. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions.